study this book, we need to know how to answer a very important question. What is the most important question Christians should know how to answer? What is the most important question Christians should know how to answer? Maybe you should know how to answer who Jesus is. Or, why does God allow so much suffering? Or, what do I need to do to be saved? All these questions, they are very important, right? But they are not the most important question. Why not? To answer any question from the Bible, we need to believe the Bible first. So in my opinion, this is the most important question, and a question that all of us Christians should know how to answer. Why do you believe the Bible? You know how to answer this question? Why do you believe the Bible? When I ask this question, people normally give me two answers. Answer number one, well, because I was told to believe in it. I was brought up in a Christian home where my parents told me to believe in this book. That's why I believe in it. Or because a church leader told me to believe in it. What is the problem with that kind of answer? By now, if you are over the age of 18, you know that your parents are not perfect, right? You know that your parents make mistakes. So how do you know that? By telling you to believe in this Bible is not just one more mistake. And by now, you also know that church leaders, people like me, okay, we make mistakes as well. What if the person who told you to believe this Bible was wrong? So you can't rely on this answer. The other answer people normally try to give in order to explain why they believe in the Bible is because they tried and it worked. They read this book and it changed their lives. I read it and it changed me. I'm a different person. Oh, I had friends, when they took drugs, it changed them. They had supernatural experiences as well. I know people from different religions, background, that they read whatever they think it's a sacred book, and that book changed their lives as well. So these two answers, they only lead you to what I call blind faith. I believe because I believe. This is not what we should be giving as an answer. We can't have blind faith. Now you might be thinking, oh Alex, you took two of my best answers. I don't know what to say anymore now. Okay, my aim here today is to help you to answer that question in a biblical way, in a way that makes sense, in a way that is not blind faith. So here's my big idea, my big idea for us today. The Bible is a reliable collection of historical documents written by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They reported supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies. And they claim to be divine rather than inhuman in origin. That's from Voddie Baucham, a great pastor I had the privilege to meet in 2015. Big idea, I'm going to help you to memorize it, okay? This is what I want you to be telling people when they ask you, why do you believe the Bible? Can we trust the Bible? And that's what I want you to be saying. What's my aim here today? My aim is to point four reasons. I'm going to give you four evidences why I personally chose to believe the Bible. We're going to be reading the Bible to find the answer. We're going to be reading 2 Peter chapter 1 from verse 1 to verse 16. Because the answer is here. If the Bible is our final authority, the Bible is the book that each needs to tell us why we can trust it. My hope is that you are going to gain biblical information, but biblical information that leads to heart transformation. I want you to believe with your mind, but I also want you to believe with your heart, so you can practice, you can obey it. Let's look at the first evidence, the historical evidence. Let me read again, 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 16. For we were not making up clever stories when we told you about the powerful coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Let me stop there, okay? Let me stop there. What is Peter talking about? Okay, from verse 1 to verse 15, Peter is doing two things. Number one, he's telling his readers to be godly. Guys, you are Christians. Live a godly life. But he's also reminding them to stand firm in the truth. Verse 12, he says, stand firm in the truth. What is Peter talking about in verse 12? So we can understand what he's saying in verse 16. Well, Peter is warning his readers about the false teachers. They were distorting the gospel. They were spreading fake news. These false teachers, they were saying, you can't trust whatever Peter is saying. You can't trust the scriptures. So these false teachers were spreading false lies. And Peter, in verse 16, he wanted his readers to be certain, to be 100% sure that what he shared with them was not a bunch of fairy tale stories, but the truth. Peter was not sharing a story from a Harry Potter book. Peter was not sharing a story from Disney. He was telling people the truth, and he wanted them to trust it. Guys, don't listen to fake news. A very important question. If Peter was alive, if Peter was in London today, what fake news would Peter oppose? If Peter was here with us today, what kind of fake news he would say, oh, don't listen to these kind of fake news? Here's two things I think Peter would highlight. Peter would probably oppose the lies regarding the reliability of the Bible. That the Bible is trustworthy. He would say, guys, you need to trust this. Take it seriously. This is the truth. So archaeological evidences support the biblical record. During the Enlightenment period, a lot of archaeologists, experts, they would say, the Bible is a fairy tale book. You can't trust it. You see, it talks about places that they don't exist. It talks about cities that we've never heard about. We've never found anything related to it. It talks about certain kind of people that we've never found anything to prove that they actually existed. And it's funny, the same experts who are mocking the Bible, when they found a lot of the archaeological evidence, do you know what they do? They don't say, wow, I'm so sorry for the mistakes, for the time we were mocking the Bible. No, they are always questioning again. They're never apologizing. And we go to the British Museum, the place is full of evidences, historical evidences, that tells that the Bible is not a fairy tale book. ancient manuscripts. I love this because they support the biblical record. Again, they say, no, the Bible is we can't trust the Bible. Historians, they say we can't trust the Bible. It's a bunch of fairy tale stories. And again, we go to the British Museum and we see for ourselves that, wow, the manuscripts, they were old. They are very old, historical, but they don't believe in it. They believe in manuscripts such as the one Caesar wrote. The thing is, just to let you know, we don't have the originals. We don't have the originals. Why? It was written on a kind of paper that was very fragile during that time. Papyrus would not last for a long time. So all the historical documents that we have, they are copies. So historians, they would never deny that the copies, not originals, the copies of Caesar, of course they are reliable. The earliest one that we have, it's 1,000 years old from the original, when the original was written. Do you know how many copies do we have? 10. Just for the sake of time, let's look at the New Testament now. The earliest copies we have is from it's between 25 to 50 years old. We have more than 24,000 copies. You get these copies, all them together, you compare, wow, they're very similar, 95% accuracy. Wow. But they don't believe in it. They believe in other ancient manuscripts. They believe in other archaeological finds. But you know what they keep doing? They keep saying, don't believe it. Why would people believe in some ancient writings and archaeological finds and deny the reliability of the Bible? I think Peter gave us the answer. Maybe they are not different from those who spread fake news during Peter's time. They seem to be very intelligent, very intellectual. But when you present the evidence, they say no. And that's what Peter was facing 2,000 years ago. And he was warning his readers, guys, stand firm in the truth. Don't believe in fake news. What is the lesson here for us? The Bible is not a fairy tale book, but a reliable collection of historical evidence, documents. This is our first evidence. Second evidence, the eyewitnesses' evidence. Here's what Peter says from verse 16, part B. We saw His Majesty's splendor with our own eyes, when He received honor and glory from God the Father. The voice from the majesty glory of God said to Him, this is my dearly loved Son, who brings me great joy. We ourselves heard that voice from heaven when we walked with Him on the holy mountain. So what is Peter saying here? That whatever he shared with them, with his readers, he saw, he heard it from himself. But here's a question I have for us. Why is Peter using the pronoun we all the time? Ourselves, we. Isn't Peter the writer? Why he keeps saying we, ourselves? Here's the thing. Peter was not the only eyewitness. So he's highlighting, guys, what I shared, what I've seen, what I've heard. Many others have seen and heard. I know you shouldn't believe in one person, but come on. If you don't believe me, check with the others. Many others who saw and heard it. So Peter wanted his readers to understand that what he shared with them was seen and heard not only by him, but by other eyewitnesses as well. He saw it, and many others saw it as well. If Peter was still alive, what would he add to this letter he is writing? What else would he add? If he was here with us today, guys, after 2,000 years, I think I need to add something here. Here's what I think Peter, my assumption, okay? I think Peter would add, he would probably give the names of those eyewitnesses who died as martyrs for sharing the truth of what they heard and saw. Guys, Peter would say, I'm not the only one. Many others saw, many others heard, and they died for sharing it. When Peter wrote this letter, he knew he was about to die. He knew he was about to die. And he died. And he died for sharing it. And many other apostles as well. Do you know what? They were killed. Do you know why we call them martyrs? Because they were eyewitnesses who were sharing what they saw and heard. Apart from John, one of the apostles, all of them were killed as martyrs for sharing the truth. Do you know that Paul, the guy who wrote 13 of the letters of the New Testament, he was persecuting the church. He was killing Christians. He hated Christians. And he was persecuting them until the day that he saw and heard Jesus himself. And the persecutor became a dedicated follower of Christ. He died for Christ, for sharing what he heard and saw. Question. And I could spend the whole morning here giving you names. For over 300 years, Christians were persecuted and killed by the Roman Empire. My question, would all these people die for a lie? Would all these people die for something that is not the truth? Maybe you would die to save someone. I've heard stories like that. People who are willing to die to save someone. But I'm sure you would never die for a lie that can kill you. I don't believe all these people would die for a lie. They were ready to die because they knew it's the truth. What is the lesson here for us? The Bible was not written by one person, maybe by a liar. It was written by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. So we've got the historical evidences, we've got the eyewitnesses' evidences. Let's look at the third one, the prophetic evidence. Verse 19, Peter says, because of that experience, we have even greater confidence in the message proclaimed by the prophets. You must pay close attention to what they wrote, for the words are like a lamp shining in a dark place until the day dawns, and Christ the morning star shines in your hearts. You must pay close attention to what they wrote, the prophets. What's the message proclaimed by the prophets that Peter wants his readers to pay close attention. What is Peter talking about here? Prophets. The message that they proclaimed. Pay close attention to it. Or Peter is talking about the predictions made by the prophets of the Old Testament. As you know, the Bible is divided into sections. The Old Testament and the New Testament. The New Testament was written after Jesus' death. The Old Testament written centuries before Jesus was even born. So Peter is saying, guys, what we've seen and what we've heard, they were all predicted in the Old Testament. So Peter wanted his readers to see that the supernatural events he shared with them were actually the fulfillment of specific prophecies made centuries before they took place. Alex, how do we know these prophecies took place? How do we know? Well, easy. By simply reading the Bible, especially the Old Testament, you can find out. In the Old Testament, there are more than 300, let me repeat this. In the Old Testament, there are more than 300 prophecies about Jesus Christ. Born of a virgin, Isaiah 7:14. Born in Bethlehem, Micah 5:2. Rejected by the Jews, Isaiah 53:3. Betrayed by a friend, Psalm 41:9. Sold for 30 pieces of silver, Zechariah 11:12. Crucified with sin, Isaiah 53:12. And I could spend the whole morning going over this. More than 300 prophecies. The number is so big that mathematically speaking, the odds of anyone fulfilling this amount of prophecy are staggering. If one person had fulfilled 8 of these prophecies, it would be 1 in 100 quadrillion. One person fulfilling 8 prophecies. One person fulfilling 48 of these prophecies would be 1 chance in 10 to the 157th power. I'm not good at maths, but I know this is a lot. One person fulfilling over 300 prophecies, only Jesus Christ. Only Jesus Christ. Question. Would all these predictions, full of specific details, and please read this book. Check. Okay, let me check these 300 prophecies. Would all these specific details be a big coincidence? I don't think Peter was a liar. I don't think he was a lunatic. Maybe all these guys, they were lunatics. I don't believe he was a lunatic. And that's why he's saying, check the Old Testament. Check the Old Testament. However, to ignore the fact that the Bible reports supernatural events which took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies is madness. I don't think you're too smart if you deny it. I don't think you're too smart if you keep saying, you know what, let me just ignore it. What is the lesson here for us? The Bible reports supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies. Fourth and lastly, the divine evidence. Here's how Peter ends this passage. Above all, you must realize that no prophecy in Scripture ever came from the prophet's own understanding or from human initiative. No, those prophets were moved by the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, and they spoke God. What was Peter talking about here? Peter was basically saying, guys, these prophets that I'm sure you're going to check what they wrote years before were written by men. But here's the thing. They were inspired by the Spirit of God. They were inspired by God. So the Bible was written by humans. We know that. But God designed it. The Bible was written by man, but God designed it. Yeah. In the same way, a builder is the person who puts the bricks one over the other. And the architect is the one who plans it, designs it. The Bible was written by man, but designed by God, inspired by God. So Peter wanted his readers to understand that the scripture was written by man, but inspired, designed, planned by God himself. Alex, why can we be so confident the Bible was designed by God? Number one, the Bible was not written by a small group of people or in a single location. The Bible was written by 40 different authors from different backgrounds. We've got historians, doctors, judges, kings, prophets, fishermen. 40 different authors who lived in 3 different continents, 3 different locations, Africa, Asia, Europe. Number 2, the Bible was not written in a short period of time. This is remarkable. The Bible was written in a span of 1,600 years. That's a long time. Thirdly, the Bible was not written in a single language. So when you get the copies from the originals, you're going to see that the Bible is written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. 3 different languages. Why is that important? Would all these people from different locations who spoke different languages and lived in different periods of time orchestrate the Bible? Because that's the claim outside, isn't it? The Bible was put together by this group of people who wanted to make these fairy tale stories to manipulate people. Oh, Constantine in the 4th century, he sits down with this big, come on, don't give me that, please. This is the kind of answer that drives me crazy. Be more intelligent. Be more intelligent. Because it's clear the Bible was written by 40 different authors. I'm not smart, I'm not intelligent, and I can do my homework and find out that the Bible was not written by one single person. That the Bible was written in 3 different languages, in 3 different locations, over a period of 1,600 years. If I can understand that, any expert can understand that. So I don't think so. I don't think it was orchestrated. Because to believe that the Bible was orchestrated, it requires more faith to believe that the Bible was a book designed by human beings than a book inspired by God. I don't have that faith. I'm so sorry. What is the lesson here for us? The Bible claims to be divine rather than inhuman in origin. So, as I began, I said that the most important question Christians should know how to answer is why you chose to believe the Bible. So, why do I believe the Bible? Why have I chosen to believe the Bible? The Bible is a collection of historical documents written by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They reported supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies. and they claim to be divine rather than inhuman in origin.